Yeah, so Carol, Paul's mom is my mom's, or was my mom's sister, so that's how Paul.
Hi there, I'm Finn Leach. I'm the curator at the Art Gallery of Peterborough. Celeste Scopolides, our director. One of her jobs is to remind me to introduce myself, and that's an important thing that I often forget. So thank you for coming today on not the most beautiful day, but here we are. I wanted to begin by respectfully acknowledging that the Art Gallery of Peterborough is located on Treaty 20 Mississauga territory and in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations. Those include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina First Islands. The Art Gallery of Peterborough respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Chris Ironside.
Yes.
Hey, Chris Ironside received his MFA from York University and BA from the University of Guelph. His drawings and photographs have been exhibited throughout North America, and his work has been widely featured in the Globe and Mail magazine, C Magazine, Headmaster Magazine, and exhibited at the Angel Gallery, Daniel Faria Gallery, and the Canadian Lesbian and Gay Archives, the Gladstone Hotel, 411 Gallery, Clam Art, and the Art on Paper Fair in New York. We're really excited to have this current body of work, Living for the Fame, here, and the companion exhibition, Hall of Fame, from our permanent collection. It was just a joy to work with Chris and our permanent collection here. It's so important for a gallery, I think, that has a long-standing permanent collection to invite additional voices in to talk about those things, because otherwise it can sort of languish, and they're really amazing, important resources, and so I'm thrilled to be able to work with artists doing that. We're going to be doing a bit of a walking talk with Chris throughout both of those exhibitions. He's open to any questions at any point, so please feel free to use your body in some way to signal that you'd like to ask a question, and both Chris and I will try and accommodate that. Thanks so much.
Right. Thank you, Finn. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris Ironside. I know most of you are familiar faces to me. Some of you aren't, but thank you for coming out on not such a nice day. Thank you to Finn and Celeste for seeing this exhibition through and helping me get to this spot. And today's talk is going to be just an informal, nice talk. We're going to walk through it. Again, any questions, please just raise your hand and I'll make sure I answer. So we're going to start down here. The first piece on this wall here is Stargazing. We're starting with it first, even though it was the last piece that I made for this exhibition. I guess I'll step back a little bit and tell you about where Living for the Fame came from. I started this work 3 years ago, and I've always seen it as an ongoing drawing project. So it's a project that I add to continuously. I'm always looking at new source images, drawing them, editing through them, and seeing which is going to best suit itself to the concept and the theme I'm working with. For this work, all of the source images have been pulled from social media sites such as Grindr and Scruff and Instagram and Tumblr. This piece was originally conceived of as wallpaper, and then I struggled with that. And so this is like the dry, like the test run, I guess. And hopefully it will be wallpaper at some point. I guess I should step it back and talk about what the interest in Living for the Fame is about. I'm traditionally trained as a photographer, and I teach photography at York University. I've had there's been a little bit of a tension with photography and myself lately, and I wanted to step outside of the photo practice. But one of the things that I've been really interested in with regards to photography is the fact that we're losing an oral history with regards to the photograph as an object. the fact that we don't print our photographs anymore, we don't pass them around, we don't sit with them, with friends, with family, we don't carry them with us, we don't fold them up and put them in our wallet or take them to the office and pin them to the wall in our cubicle. So not having that anymore, I was thinking, how could I have a conversation around that? And I started thinking about drawing and the permanence of drawing and spending time with these images that are oftentimes seen as disposable images, I guess, these profile images that are made for dating apps that go up for a specific reason and then are pulled down or get swiped over, disappear, get damaged, disappear up into the cloud. No one really knows where this cloud is or what it is. So I wanted to give permanence to these people, these subjects that for whatever reason I had some connection to. So Stargazing is this kind of like period on the sentence right now for me. Glasses you will see when we go through the exhibition. They show up often. The fact that the gaze has been taken away, that it's these blank stares looking back at you, so you have to access the drawing in a different way to have some sort of idea about who this person is or what they are feeling. So it was just this kind of like, I wanted to feel like this falling through, this falling down of glasses, of profiles, of digital images that we would scroll through, with potentially the other looking back. So we'll make our way up the ramp. That's okay. I'm relaxed about it.
Do you find a lot of people wearing sunglasses in dating apps?
So sometimes it's glasses.
Or just glasses?
Glasses,
or
yes.
sunglasses?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
thought
So the question was, do I find a lot of people wearing glasses or sunglasses in their dating app profiles? And yes. And the other thing is, so none of the images have been altered. So if someone isn't wearing glasses, I wouldn't put them in.
Okay.
So I'm responding to that image as it is. There are some images where I am embellishing. So I'm drawing a blank on the name, Stain. The one with the guy crying the rainbow into the cloud, that was all put in after. So I was just working with that source image, as well as Finally Enough Love right here. His eyes were present, but I wanted the hearts, the light, the whole idea around likes with regards to social media. Yeah. So one of the challenges I think was, how do you work with this very unique space here in Peterborough? And I was very, very overwhelmed the first time I came for a site visit with Finn, and I was like, oh my God, like I have to make so much work for this. Because I think the show that was installed at the time, it was very much like it started at the bottom of the ramp and it was image after image after image all the way up. And then Finn reassured me that no, you can treat this however you like to treat it, and we can have it all at one end, we can move it all to the other, however I would like it to be, which was really, really beneficial. And I really started thinking about this space as a physical space to exist within. And I always wanted the images and the way in which they're installed to feel organic. So I didn't want that traditional setup at all. And I wanted to be able to activate how the viewer looks at the work in this space. So when you're on this level, you see details that are perfectly fine to see down here, but you might have to bring yourself up to this ramp and then look across to see other details or to engage more with the images. The text pieces that are part of the show, they're all pulled from, they're all except one, are pulled from 90s songs. So there's gonna be a familiarity for some of you with some of them. Some of you might know all of them, or none of them, and that's totally fine. For me, the text is very much a response to the images. It becomes organic, it kind of becomes out of place, like what I'm doing with these images, pulling them out of place and putting them into this space. The glitter, the confetti, the disco ball, it's all about surface. And then what happens when we pull back those layers. And I think to a certain degree in spending the time with these images that are thus becoming the drawings, there is that pulling back the layer to get to something more, and that more is partly my desire, why I'm attracted to these images I've chosen. It could be something, you know, humorous in the image, something playful, something that the subject doesn't necessarily know they are activating, but that I'm responding to. One of the things in my class this week, we talked about Roland Barthes' Camera Lucida, which for photography is a foundation textbook. And Barthes talks in Lucida about the studium and the punctum, which I feel goes beyond photography. It applies to all art. The fact that, you know, these are drawings, there is this general interest in it, but then there's always something in the image, a punctum, something that pricks or pierces the viewer. And for me, these images all had an aspect of punctum in them, something that pricked or pierced me and wanted, you know, it made me want to spend more time with them, to give them that place here within this exhibition. A couple of the images have the cutouts where I've gone physically in and cut into the paper. I was thinking a lot about photography when I was making those works. And for me, even though my foundation, the basis and the work I had been known for was photo-based work, I still very much look at these drawings as photo-based, even though photo isn't present, but it is present, it's just not seen. And one of the things with the cutouts, I used a confetti cutter to do that. And originally I was thinking about making my own confetti and not realizing that this cutter, it wouldn't allow me to cut through the tissue properly. And then I thought, well, what happens if I just turn that confetti cutter on the drawings? What happens there? And what I started seeing was this aspect of photography really come into play here. And when we talk about analog photography and processing negatives, if we don't properly go through the agitation process when the film is in the chemistry, if we just let it sit, or we agitate it but we don't dislodge the air bubbles from the photo canister, the film, when it comes out, will have these wonderful little circular bubbles on it, and students are always amazed when that happens because they're like, what happened? And I'm like, you didn't bang your canister and dislodge those air bubbles. So I started thinking, you know, that's one of the things that reminded me of. The other thing that it reminded me of was the disintegration, the breakdown of digital imagery. So that those two works are both titled Breakdown. That's Breakdown number 1 and that's Breakdown number 2. So that aspect there, whenever I'm drawing, I'm very much thinking about photography. I'm thinking about light and I'm thinking about shadow. And on the opposite end of that, whenever I am photographing, I'm thinking about drawing. So the two still for me are very, very much linked, even though I'm not physically making photographs. I'm thinking about photography. None of the subjects know that I have drawn them. There are only two drawings here of people that I know, and I let them know that I was going to be drawing them. I wasn't asking for permission because I feel that once you post an image, or whether it be of yourself or something that you've taken, it's out there and it's out there to be consumed. So it's also a comment on that. Whether or not these subjects that I have drawn will ever know that I've drawn them, they might not, and I kind of like the fact that that's just up in the air. I would really love, for someone to come through and go, oh my God, this looks like so-and-so, and it is so-and-so type of thing. But I'm also, with the drawings, I think there's a tenderness to it. I'm not making fun of anyone. It's something that is true to them, and it's honoring them in a way. Any questions so far? No, you're all good. You're all cool. I'm trying, I know, keeping you fresh. What else did I want to talk about with the work? I guess when we started down there with Stargazing, and then we have this text piece here, these two were the first pieces that we also hung when we did the install. These two are the anchors of the show. I feel that I Fake It So Real, I'm Beyond Fake really sums up our personas and what we put forth on social media, this public versus private, and the way that we want to be viewed, this almost fakeness, this performance aspect of it. So I like that those two anchor it with the work in between them and that come off of it. And then coming up, if we go up the ramp more, there is the show that, the exhibition that Finn has mentioned, Hall of Fame, which I curated from the permanent collection, which was something that was really, really exciting for me to have the opportunity to do and to go into the collection here at the Art Gallery of Peterborough. So I think Finn, I think it all came about when we were down there and I saw the Maryland, the Warhol Maryland, and for me it was like that summed up the title, Living for the Fame. Living for the Fame is a line from a Lana Del Rey song that always stuck out for me, and I just loved what that conjures up, especially in terms of social media. So with the Warhol, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like I almost just wanted to have that on a pink wall and nothing else. But I delved deeper and realized there was a lot more stuff there that was really, really great. And the David Hockney was one of those pieces that also really had to be in the show, and I think is a nice complement, a nice companion to the images, the drawings that I have done. And the other one is the Jeff Bjerg? David. I'm thinking of his son for a second. Yeah. The memory piece, and when I saw that too, I was just like, this is what this all really speaks to. It is these memories, and these memories that I'm hopefully making tangible. I'm grounding them. Some of the other ones might seem a little bit more abstract. The piece here, and I'm drawing.
Ron Blur.
Thank you, Ron Blur. I'm drawing a blank there. This one, I immediately saw as sunglasses. Celeste, what did you see it as?
I don't think I saw anything.
Didn't you remember when it was down here when we were installed? When you were just like, I don't get this one. And then as soon as I said sunglasses, it was like this, that.
And then
It kind of looks like a bra, though.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
recent buses that I sent you, like very excitedly over Instagram DM,
Yeah.
was like, okay, so these people, they see a butt. And,
Yeah.
yeah, great.
Butt
and then
works.
somebody else saw a bra, and then the other thing was like, clearly this is a bowl of soup with chopsticks.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. It's up for interpretation. The historical portrait, I felt that we had pulled two of them,
Yeah.
but this was the one that really stood out, especially because we hung Hall of Fame after we finished installing Living for the Fame. And this for me was like the selfie of the time, and that we have this record. Of course, when we think about portraits that were done pre-photo era, and even portraits, painted portraits that were commissioned even in the early days of photography, they are a certain type of person. It's the wealthy, the upper classes that were being documented through portraiture. And I kind of liked how that speaks to and talks to the drawings down there. And then of course the Jim Dine, the heart piece, which Paul, who is one of the installers here and is really, really lovely, he said to me, he's like, it's like this rainbow, that it brings everything a full circle. And I thought that was just really lovely to hear. But for me, it also is like, it's like those likes, and we're all kind of not only living for the fame on social media, but we're living for the likes. Yeah, we want that validation of this is good, this is a good image. So that to end it, just, I think, yeah, finishes it right there.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
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 And then we have the nod to the confetti and
The
the
confetti.
disco ball.
And then just, yes, completely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, that was one that we were kind of like, but felt like it couldn't not be in.
Right, and it's sad, like we had it up, we had it down, but it does need to be, yeah, because I do think it brings it down there, even though what I love is because when I left after the opening, we had this really nice pile of confetti, and as you can see, the confetti has moved through the space, up the ramp, down the ramp, and I like that that's happening, that it's being dragged around, and that it's also getting worn down, which is part of it. Like I never wanted it to be this perfect, precious thing, and I'm glad that people have been interacting with it. Like there was Family Day after the opening.
Yeah, like the day after the opening, I also Instagram DM'd you.
Right, and all those kids were like, yeah.
Man, send more confetti.
Right.
ASAP, because
Yeah.
it's been a real party.
Yes. Yes, thank goodness for Amazon Prime, because it was like there, like within a couple of days. But the fact that people are going in and having that moment with it and Instagramming it,
Absolutely.
which I like that was the thing, like I always, even when we were doing the install, like I said, like I really hope that people are on that landing and they're throwing confetti, they're they're taking a selfie with the disco ball or with that text piece there, like that's what it's kind
totally
of
happening.
It's part of that for me.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, like I kind of wonder about, and we think about this a lot as like caretakers of the exhibition for the 3 months or whatever, and going like, okay, so how are we going to maintain a good experience for everybody, right? Because it's not about just wrecking it.
Right.
I mean, also we're watching the way that people come into the gallery, whether people feel comfortable, what they feel comfortable doing, what they feel allowed to be doing. But I do wonder if this was like 10 years ago, and there hadn't already been a whole bunch of like museums that are like, just come in and do your Instagram moment over here, if there would be a slightly different behavior. I don't know. I just don't know. But it's great because that's happened, right?
Yeah.
And people are definitely like they're being careful about the art, but they know that they're allowed to do
That they have permission,
Yeah.
Yeah, without it being
There's no
stated
sign
somewhere.
in
It's not
that
saying,
way.
please interact with the confetti.
Yeah.
But like even the fact that there is confetti on the disco ball now,
Totally.
which is like this act, like throwing it up, which I didn't even see that happening. Like honestly, I didn't expect that people were gonna dive into it. I thought what was gonna happen was it was just gonna physically move through the space because it is so light, and I've worked with confetti before in installations where it's just the act of going by it activates it and moves it with the person. And the other thing is too, like the weather, like now that we're gonna be coming up, sadly, to winter soon enough, but people are gonna be coming in wet and with wet boots and that, and it's gonna become this like, and that's okay because it's that going beyond the surface, this glittery, glossy surface. Yeah.
Rest assured, there has not only been like full on like throwing parties with it. There has been like lie down snow angels.
Oh, nice, nice. That's great. That's great. So I encourage all of you to like take a selfie and post it.
Tag us.
What else did I want to say about the work? Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Why don't you sign any of your works?
Oh, that's good. They are all signed. but they are signed on the back. So it's just a school of thought. For me, with it being signed on the front, I always saw it as being part of the drawing, and I didn't want that text, that handwriting, to become part of it. So that's why I sign on the back. Yeah. And I think it's also the photo thing in me too, because photography, we don't tend to. The only person that I know that signs the front of her work is Susie Lake. And I find that so, it's straight, it's like, but that's how she came up, and we've collaborated before. And signing like our work together, like it feels like, oh, it's so permanent to go in there and sign on the front of a photograph. So I think me signing on the back is a carryover from my photo background. Yeah, but that's a good. You aren't the first person who's asked that. So that's an interest. It's interesting that people are. You are not. Yeah. So it's interesting to hear that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So do you see this work continuing, or can you talk about what you're going to do next?
So I think that this work will continue to some degree. I am getting a little, not tired is the wrong word, but maybe overwhelmed looking at all these pretty men. So it would be nice to have a break from that. I do know what I'm doing for my next work, and it's going to be a break from this, a nod to the 80s. Okay. Yeah, soap operas. That familiar, that comforting thing. Yes.
When you're working on your pieces, do you like work one piece at a time, or do you work sort of collectively and jump from like one image to another as you're...
Yeah, that's a good question. So some depends. So if I'm doing a smaller one, I tend to just be doing that. With the larger ones, I will have a couple of the larger ones up in the studio working on those while I've got maybe one or two smaller ones on the go. There are some drawings that I just have to like step away from. This one that's by Celeste here, You'll Never Gain Weight from a Donut Hole, I found it very, very trying, and I kept it was on my studio wall for a long time, probably about half finished, and it was up for a good 2 months before I went back and finished it. I used to just like, it was always like one at a time until I was finished, but I just found that I wasn't productive enough, and it was nice to get a whole bunch on the go and to see how they influenced one another as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Anyone
Can
else?
you talk about Boo Boo? Like, did the image look like
The image looks exactly like that. Boo Boo, the one with the Band-Aid over his eyes.
So was it a filter, do you think?
It was probably one of those Snapchat.
Yeah.
The stickers that you can put on it.
Oh yeah, stickers.
Yeah,
Right.
and I was just really, I saw that one, I thought that's so random.
Yeah.
Like, this trying to disguise the identity.
Yeah.
And I had done it as a smaller drawing, a maquette, and when I finished that, I knew that it needed to be bigger. Like I was like, this needs to be a bigger piece, because I think in its initial size, it was about 11 by 14.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so to see it bigger.
Yeah.
And that one was very, very quick for me. Like some of the drawings are very quick and it just happens. And then like the donut hole one, it can be much more time spent with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's something too about the material that you're using, right? Like there is like such a tenderness when you're using that dust. Like there's such gentle, sweet.
Yeah. There's
Like
there's a softness.
caresses?
Yeah. So they're all done with graphite. Mostly what I've been using is I buy jars of graphite powder, and I use the smudgers, and I'll move it, or like I'll dip my smudger into the graphite powder to move it around, or I use my fingers wrapped in tissue to make the marks. And I just really like that a lot more than, especially when I'm working bigger, than working with the pencils, because there's like this physical interaction with it. Yeah. And there is something permanent about like going in with with that. Although I do go through a lot of compressed air
Yeah.
because I didn't realize that compressed air, I can then remove a lot of it
Right.
if I need to. Yeah, because I build up on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Chris, can you
Yeah.
talk about the drawing that has the eyes on the nipples and the glasses? Was
Yeah.
that part of the image, or did you put the eyes on there?
I put the eyes on his nipples. That was a culmination of 2 source images. I just loved that image of this guy like on vacation and snapping this really sexy, seductive image of himself. And then I had seen another source image where it was like this kid and there's nothing flattering about it. And he's, it's bad lighting, it's bad everything. And he's taken this picture, but then put these nipple sticker, like eyes, these eyes over the nipples, and I was like, that's just so great. So I was like, I need to work with that. And when we installed that one, Briar's in here right now.
Briar's down in front, yeah.
Down in front, but Briar was here with Paul and
Yeah.
and I said, Briar, can you come over here? Because I thought Briar would probably be about like the height of like the average person,
Yeah.
and I wanted that piece to be hung so that it wasn't his eyes looking out at you, it was his nipple eyes.
Yeah.
That's the engagement there. That's the conversation. This double gaze. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something really interesting too about like the way that it got hung, and not only does that play with this space to create a bit of a room,
Right.
but it's got this kind of, nod to the historical portrait of
Yeah.
like the salon style
Yep.
hanging, right?
Mhm.
But it's also got this sort of abundance
Right.
thing that feels like
Yeah.
the way that we consume images on the internet,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also plays with the different levels that the body is on,
Right.
and the gaze, whether
Yeah.
it's nipple eyes or eyeball eyes.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also like when you come down to, and this is one of the things that we talked about
Yeah.
when we were doing our site visits, was when you come here, you really feel like you are in a room and that you are surrounded by these drawings, which was very much, part of it.
Yeah.
You're
And
in that
hard to do the
mindset.
space,
But it is a great space, and I think it's once you kind of get out of your head about how maybe you think it should
Yeah.
be installed and move into thinking about other ways, then it really does.
It opens up.
Yeah. It can be really, really special for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And the
I
sorry.
think you've done an amazing job. Like,
Oh,
it's all
thank
the
you.
things off. I mean, the water, everything. It's just
Thank you.
really, really accurate. Yeah. Like, and this is, I saw this piece, I think, to Jamie. And
Yeah,
Neil,
yeah.
And it was, I was like, oh, I just wanted to do something with glitter, and you did it. And I
Thank
was
you.
like, it's just, yeah. But then seeing it the way it's being installed, and then with the, it's really great.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Sorry, that's not a question.
No, that was good. No, thank you. I'll take that. Thank you. It's okay. Compliments are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the water, the day that we unwrapped the work, there was such great light hitting the water, and the water, it was just a little bit of a breeze that day, and it was just glistening.
glittery.
And when we had this one, we were like, oh, to have Boy beside the window and that view. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
And this is only sort of a question, but I'm hoping you can speak to it. But when you look at all the ones with sunglasses,
Yes.
like it's like you create a lot of light where the lenses are, and yet there's kind of an emptiness there. And I just want you to, I guess, tell me about that.
So that was when I first started dealing with glasses or sunglasses. So basically, I think what I've done is I've treated, no matter if they're someone's like seeing glasses or their sunglasses, I've treated them all to a certain degree like sunglasses. When I first started doing it, like I was playing with, you can see one eye, but then the other lens is completely void of anything. And what I liked about dealing with the glasses here is how I guess, reflective they are, that they are so flat when everything else has that detail. And I wanted that blank, that flatness staring back at you. And that welcoming of the viewer's gaze, because it's non-confrontational. It allows us for our eye to fall on it and spend time with them as subject.
Great, well, thank you. I'm gonna wrap with a couple of thanks that
Yes.
I forgot at the beginning. So the funders, right? So Canada Council for the Arts, Ontario Arts Council, City of Peterborough, thanks to Chris Ironside for coming. And thanks to all of you guys.